Okay, thanks. Good evening and welcome to the Timberlane Regional School District Budget Committee. It's October 11th. Sarah, can you please call the roll?
Sure. Peter Buelow,
I'm here.
Brian Boyle,
Here.
Alan David,
Here.
David Gerns, absent. Kathleen Gorman, absent. Julie Hammond, absent. John Hughes,
Here.
Michael Mascola,
Here.
Todd McCormick,
Here.
and Phil Sherwood.
Here.
Thank you. And would you all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The next one is the approval of the September 27th meeting minutes. So if you can just take a look at those, and then if you have any questions, comments, you can address them and put the changes in as needed.
Right.
What's that?
I do have a change.
I've got one, Julie's got one, and so we'll go around the room. I'll just give you mine first. I think I already mentioned to you, but the page 2, the motion to adjourn, the numbers 8-0 should probably be 9-0 unless somebody,
Sure.
that's it, that one. Julie Hammond sent me an email. She'll be in a little bit later, but she's probably gonna miss this part of the meeting. And hers was on page 2, under budget reviews, item number 2, school board. And she just was saying that it was a little bit vague in the description. So if we can add something, she was saying, the point of the discussion was to have the administrators look closely at their budgets and prioritize to make sure they have, and to also make sure they have supporting documentation for any increases. So if that fits in with you folks, I'm going to pass this off to Sarah so she can include it.
If I may.
Yes.
At, on page 2, right under PAC, which is number 1, we had a discussion and you had asked, how are the other budgets looking? And my response was that everything was looking good, on track, but that we were going to be reviewing the budgets for tonight's meeting, and that those would be ready Monday or Tuesday of this week, which they were. So I think Sarah probably has something to that effect in there. I'd just like to have that noted and reflected in there.
That the PAC budget?
Nope, that you had asked how are the other budgets?
Yeah.
When we had discussion on that budget being rescheduled. How are the other budgets? Yeah, the other budgets were fine, but we would be meeting Tuesday of this week, which would mean the budgets for this week would not be posted until theoretically Monday or Tuesday of this week. And they were posted Tuesday.
Okay. Everybody good?
Yes.
Brian, can you pass this down to Sarah?
Sure.
Is there a motion?
Anybody else have any changes, suggestions, comments? None? All those in favor of the changes that we put on the floor? Actually, somebody needs to make a motion. We'll go with that.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Okay, so you got John on the motion and Todd on a second. Discussion? All those in favor? Abstentions? 1. Peter Buelow abstains. Okay, so that'll take care of our meeting minutes. Correspondence folder.
I'll just bring it down.
Who's got that folder?
I don't think it gets circulated around. I'll just bring it down.
Is it over there? We don't have it right now.
I only have last week's folder.
So I did forward, here's what we're doing as I'm getting emails in, I forward them off to the board. So Jeff will have the correspondence folder going around when he gets it, and if there's anything new.
So part of that discussion, there was emails that were forwarded over to us as a board that were not budget related.
This is the one you're talking that I forwarded to the
That
board.
you forwarded over.
Right.
From the board that wasn't budget related. So do we want to have those included in our correspondence if they have nothing to do with budget? These were personnel related emails. Some of them should have been kept with the school board and should not have been discussed publicly between our boards.
So let me just go on. So when I got that email, I spoke to Jeff and I just said, look, I'm gonna forward it because that was the promise that was the agreement that we made. It came to the BudCom 2, it comes to me, and then I'd send it out to you folks. So I think John's suggestion is a good one. If, so what you're doing here is you're leaving the discretion of the chair to kind of filter and say, relevant, not relevant.
I definitely agree with that.
Knowing liability.
Anybody want to weigh in?
I mean, I'm fine reading them. You know, I mean, ultimately, it's public information, right?
Yes, it is.
Me, I see everything in it. I see more than I want to see anyway because I'm on the school board.
You don't
so.
count, Jerry. Okay. You can make a motion, you can do nothing, you can discuss it later on.
Yeah, I mean, how does everybody feel about those emails that are not personnel
I don't
related?
receive emails, but that's okay. We've addressed that. But
Alan, we fixed this last week. We took
she hasn't changed the email yet. She hasn't done
Okay,
it. She hasn't
all right.
updated it. So I'm flying blind, as
All right.
they say.
Well, in general, it's
No,
not,
I mean, I don't think other than, pure, I don't know, gossip, I don't think we need to see personnel. We don't make those decisions, so.
do you want to see stuff about a pancake breakfast, a soccer tournament?
Well, I mean, and those, yeah, I guess we should probably share those. I can't speak for everybody else. I wouldn't be interested, but the rest of the board might.
Go ahead, Phil.
I tend to err on the side of disclosing, giving deference to disclosing. But the chair needs to use some deference or judgment as to whether there's liability involved in some of these cases. I worry about setting a precedent of having a chair determine what gets forwarded and what doesn't. Right? It might seem logical for one particular email, but tomorrow it might not. So casting a wide net makes sense, but we don't want one of our members to put us at risk or an employee at risk.
And that's where we're
That's-
going.
that's-
We just
that's
got to
the
be
issue
careful.
there. That's the issue there. Employees, I mean, we don't need to see that.
I think ultimately there were things contained in the email that weren't budget committee related, and I agree with you on that. But it was sent to the budget committee, and the initial email or the latest email in that string was addressing the budget committee, right? Like at the top, and then at the bottom there were other things that didn't really pertain to us.
Go ahead, Phil.
As a piggyback on my comment, I would also caution us to, and we haven't really done it to my knowledge, engaging in business through email. When some of these emails go out and it more than meets a quorum, in my view, and there's real subject matter being discussed and opinions being shared and suggestive action being taken, I really feel that potentially goes into an area that sort of undermines the whole public notice element. And that's probably not the intent of individuals, but I think most of us have used pretty good discipline in not engaging in the public business via email when we have quorum.
Good point, Phil.
Yeah.
It's a very good point. Because we've been decent in the practice that nobody's participating in a response. Just take it as FYI.
It's tough not to take the bait sometimes, though.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we really, as a board, communicate over email other than the chair sending stuff out to us. I think we've all been doing a good job with that. My only concern was, I mean, we get emails from concerning specific budget items, things like that, but when we start getting personnel item information shared to us, just want to make sure that we're not discussing those at the meeting then, and because it's not relevant to us, and I would assume that Mike would try and stop that discussion from happening, because it's not really relevant to the budget.
Well, either way, you will always get all the emails in the correspondence folder.
Okay.
And if they come to BudCom 2, they're part of this team. So, question was really just on email, so. Right. Guess we'll just kind of leave it as it is.
Yeah.
Business as usual.
Well, I'll just add one more thing. Getting them in email means that if you get a folder like not last budget committee meeting, but the one before that, when the folder was that thick,
Right.
you've kind of already had a chance to read that if you wanted to, and then,
Right.
it takes up less time during this section of the
Yes.
meeting.
Yeah. And for certain things, there are links in there that go to other places to look at, and you can't see that looking at a piece of paper. So, so I just want to make sure that the board agreed that we included all correspondence in the folder and any emails that we're going to forward over, and not just, whether you just wanted to see budget stuff come through or, but I agree, with the filtering of information, but yeah, some of that was very, very definitely personnel related. So,
All right. Back to correspondence. So Jeff, is there anything in the folder?
Yes.
You have a motion on the floor, didn't you?
no.
No, nobody
It
made
was
a
a
motion.
discussion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to run up and grab it or get it later?
I can get it later.
Okay. Number 5, delegations and individuals. Nobody's at the door. Nice. Admin report. So Jeff, why don't you go first on this one?
So included in your packet, just after the minutes, I believe, or actually it might be after, no, it's right after the minutes.
This one?
That's it. You'll see a
Encumbered?
listing of encumbrances by account, 1718, which would roll into 2018-19 when the primary budget. A suggestion had been made to, and these are posted currently, suggestion had been made to include function object code along with the account code.
The description in words.
Yeah.
Correct. That would help. This makes sense to me, right? So-
Yeah.
So we had asked before about the encumbrances, and you said there was about a dozen. So once we, maybe the next time we get one, it'll have the description of the within text, and we can compare it against the budgets as we go along.
As we look at these, not just on an account specific level, but as we look at them more on a function object level, if there's any benefit to a function object summary as well, I can do that. So in this case, there wouldn't be a whole lot, but it would be, there's, if you see the third and fourth ones down, Fund 100, count 2213, Object 240. I don't know if there'd be any benefit to seeing it just at an 1100, a 1420 level, a 2213, so in that case, those two would be combined. Whatever's easier. I would
There's
give it in
so
this
few
format.
on here, I would just keep it like this for resolution purposes.
Yep, perfect.
Just a little bit more description, because we don't memorize these numbers like you do.
Yeah, we don't know what department these are, what are these pertaining to? I mean, we could look it up if we have them.
Right.
Yeah.
But we wanted to make sure everybody had a copy, just so they
Yep.
knew what kind of magnitude of encumbrance accounts there are.
Well, we're there. Where they are. Yeah.
That was that last, the email we got late today for the encumbrances
Probably, yeah. Was it one generated from,
from Sheriff Hall. Yeah,
ooh, who got that email? Do you get the email?
I got it.
You got it? Who else got it?
I'm sorry, which email?
Yeah.
SharePoint? An email from SharePoint? No?
Oh, yeah, I just got, I've had it.
That's the auto update. So you guys might not have your folder set up to send an email anytime I update a file.
No,
So-
I don't.
If you're interested, I can show you later. It's real helpful. So then if I do post something that's not really something that I'd normally notify you of, you can say, hey, yeah, you know what, that's out there now. So we'd also discussed the enrollment reports. Those are usually posted around this time of the year. The format on those has changed a little bit, and so it would be my impression that we'd be posting that tomorrow, at least in theory. So there's a section for that in the BudCom folder as well.
Okay. I don't have any updates myself. So now I'm going to move to 8, reports of committees, and we will start with Budget Committee members. So the only one I'll give you is David Gerns, who is absent tonight. I asked him to send me an update on the CIP, and it's included in your packet. It's a little one-paragraph description of where they are. And I'm not going to go into too much detail because I'm going to let Brian, under school board, talk about the CIP a little. So that's about it. So you get David's response and
Any interested in reading it for the folks at home?
I will read it. The CIP committee is responsible for reviewing large or capital projects that either cost above a certain threshold and/or are multi-layer projects. We schedule projects to stabilize costs over the time, preventing wide fluctuations in the capital expenditures between years. The committee only incorporates projects into the CIP list that the department head/principal can justify and provide an initial cost estimate for each year in the life of the project. The CIP list is sent to the school board for review and then to the budget committee. The budget committee will incorporate funding for the projects that they approve into the proposed budget for the year. And then David wrote, I attended the final CIP meeting for the season on October 2. The CIP was reviewed in detail, and the recommended CIP for 2019-20 is about $1.9 million, which is about $500,000 in IT and $1.4 million for facilities. David goes on to say that he plans to meet with Tom Geary and the Director of Technology to present the CIP list showing priority projects for budget committee review for our second meeting in October, which will be the 25th. Respectfully submitted, David Gerns. So if nobody else has anything under budget committee, I'm going to let Mr. Boyle take the floor for school board.
If I may, because they tie in together on the CIP, that's a school board subcommittee.
Right.
So we would be able to present it, presuming that the school board has had an opportunity to review it at their next meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And if so, then it would be able to be released at our next meeting.
Is that the plan
I don't believe it's,
on your agenda?
I don't believe it's on the agenda, the agenda that just came out. I don't think that was on the agenda. I believe Sue was waiting for I think a clean copy before it was formally addressed by the school board. So, along those lines, at our last school board meeting, it came up about the whole budget process, and along with, I guess, the superintendent's blessing, with the department heads, I guess, have been pretty much directed to level fund their budgets so we can prepare. We're currently negotiating with our teachers in the union contract, so we're hoping, is for all kinds of reasons, if we level fund our budget, that we can get 100% behind the warrant article to support the teachers' raises. That's one of the reasons that I think the board and the superintendent are on the same page. I personally had a chat with Dr. Metzler yesterday, and I believe it probably followed your chat, Mike, with the super, that along those lines, to level fund our budget this year. I share the same concern he has. The CIP process is Mike, as you just read, that's a good summary that Dave Gurn submitted. I am on that CIP committee. The CIP committee recommended, I guess, for action to the school board, $1.9 million worth of projects, some of which are IT. Now, I don't know if all those CIP projects are going to survive school board recommendation. There is a project that we clearly have to address as a district, and that is the PAC, the siding in the PAC. We're going to have our facilities manager. We come up with a couple of alternatives here, because there was one alternative last year that was, I believe, between $80,000 and $90,000 using one type of product. And when Tom presented last week to the CIP, there was another version at over $400,000. So that was a heck of a jump. So I'd like to get with Tom and we'll get some other bids and see what other ways we can approach the school board as well as the budget committee. And I believe if we can come up with some reasonable way to protect our PAC for 25 to 40 years. I personally think I'd recommend we do the short warrant article and tap the capital reserve. Right now, we're sitting, I think we have between $1.3 million and $1.5 million, Jeff, in our capital account.
Probably about right, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why we have a capital account, for things to take care of our buildings. So seeing how that's kind of one of our key buildings, it's one of our new buildings, I think we should protect it sooner than later.
Brian, which wall is it? Is it the north-facing wall?
I understand it's the back wall.
The south?
Back wall.
Okay.
And I've seen some photos, but I'll be honest with you, I have not seen a full in-depth report, but I've heard enough about this for a year that it's a real problem, and
It's pretty bad.
and it's got to be addressed.
We went on the tour.
It's not just the
Three
pack either.
sides.
That they use that same material in different parts of all the school,
Yeah.
middle school, high school, and the pack.
So I guess, again, that the overall goal, I think, is to level fund the budget, and we're going to have to, the school board will see what CIP projects we recommend to go forward, and then see what we should, because I still maintain, once we pay off our bond, which is, I think this year and next year, I believe next year is our last year of the payment, we will be ready to go to the voters to have a major capital improvement to
More
our district.
comprehensive capital improvement.
But there are certain things that we just can't wait for.
Brian, did the in this last CIP meeting, did the track and the fact that we haven't been able to have a home meet last year or this year come up?
The track did not come up, and quite honestly, I'm a minority. I have a different opinion on that, because we have different members on the board that saw firsthand how our track is far superior to Salem High School and Portsmouth High Schools.
Yeah.
My kids are all grown up now, and I can tell you that, when my kids were playing sports, you walk out into a field, and that there's no guarantee, there's no hole in a field hockey field, or this kind of, so I think we should revisit this. The school board got a letter from our insurance company. It was more of an insurance company advice that we went out to them, and they played back the same advice we gave them, so to speak, saying, hey, you guys think you have a problem? I guess you have a problem. What are you going to do about it? I mean, it was an insurance adjuster versus a track expert,
Okay.
and I don't see that.
So we're going off that to determine whether or not we're able to
I
have
don't know
home
what we
meets?
is, but me personally, but I look at the track different than I look at the pack,
Okay.
It's not a priority, obviously.
Well, I think
I think
that, and so I think.
I don't know if it's not a
I
priority.
walked the track. I walked the track this
Well,
Sunday.
and I don't want to
I don't-
get,
I
I
don't
don't
see
want
the-
the budget committee to get off on a
Tangent. No,
tangent
but
on the
it's
track,
I walked the track, because I was actually
Well-
looking for the bubbles in it, because that would be a problem.
Well,
if you
it's,
run
it's,
into
it's
the-
a problem it's a problem, I believe, that happens in the spring
with the
coming
saw.
up. So,
Right,
so that's what I said. So, but at any rate, that's, and like I said, I don't want to get up into a
No,
tangent.
I get that, but
But, any rate, so from a budget, from the school board standpoint, here we are early in the budget season, so we're on the same track with the superintendent, in terms of level of funding.
good news.
And we're gonna see, it's probably a first, which is great, but and we'll see what we can address from a capital standpoint, because last year's budget, there was only $500,000. That was in the budget of the 718. That's all there really was in capital. So you really, you got to really prioritize what's going to happen here before you. That's why I don't see the math of $1.3 million surviving the school board. I can't even, being one of 9, I couldn't guess at the number, but I know that enough individual members of the school board even the school board as a board has not addressed this
Okay.
PAC thing. But anyway, so that's what's going on.
So we'll get more information, maybe not a full list on the next meeting, the 25th, but it's developing. So between.
Oh, it's developing.
You and David.
You'll be hearing from this very soon.
Good. All right. Did you have anything else? You're good.
I'm good.
All right. Unfinished business. I'll make this quick. Under parking lot, we had the facility tours, 1 of 3, on October 1, where we toured middle school, high school PAC. I will share with you this. The attendance was lower than I expected. I sent out a summary to you folks to get an idea of what took place there. Our next facility tour is on the 15th, which is at Pollard first, and then Atkinson Academy, starting at 4 p.m. And it's open to the public, so if any members want to go, October 15th, Monday, Pollard at 4 p.m. And then to be going to Atkinson Academy. And then the last one will be the 29th, which will hit Sandown, North, Central, and Danville.
At 4 PM, correct?
All at 4 p.m., all Monday, all open to the public. So you're all welcome. New business. So first up, we have Atkinson Academy. This is Kathy Deotis. Welcome. So before you start, we put down on the agenda a block of time. By all means, if you need more, it's open to you. And then the next part I was just going to share is you can do the format any way you want. I'd like to see it to be more of a dialogue, a conversation versus a straight-out presentation. So I'm going to give you the floor.
Okay. All right,
You're on.
okay. So, I believe my budget is down, and even, I don't know, I'm gonna kind of go through. I anticipate, I have 342 students now. I anticipate next year probably 330. This was kind of a bubble year with kindergarten, but I don't anticipate, and I will be losing a larger fifth grade class. And the classes coming up is smaller. The only real increase is in my supply account, which is the 1100, 610, 55.
1100, 610.
And that was an increase for math supplies, and we haven't had to budget for math materials for the last 3 years due to the fact that the district has taken on that cost. And so now it's back to the schools, so that would be an increase in that account. A little bit of an increase in my supply account, 1100, 610. Mainly because the cost of supplies have gone up. What else can I say? I do have a decrease in my 1100, 737 account. Last year, we put in for playground equipment,
Right.
and so, obviously, there's a decrease of 11,000 that, we had last year, so. All in all, I believe I am down.
$17.
Yeah. How do you like that?
That's pretty good. That's awesome.
Pretty good.
Go ahead, Peter.
Okay, I have a question on the math supplies.
Yep.
You said this year it's coming out of the school directly, but in the past it's come out of the district?
Yeah,
What was your portion of that from the district? I was wondering if, at the end of the day, is it a wash, if you will? Just transfer from one place to another?
actually, Christie will answer that because it came out of your budget or
Yes.
a deals that they make with the publisher when we first
Right, so
buy a system.
4 years ago, the elementary schools had piloted a number of math programs. A decision was made 3 years ago to go with the Envisions math program. We signed a contract, a multi-year contract with Pearson Envisions, for Envisions Math. And so that was paid, I think it was paid 3 years ago. So we haven't had to budget for consumable math supplies at either the budget, at the district level or at the school level over the course of the last 3 years. Because the math contract is expiring this year, our elementary schools are budgeting for consumable math supplies for next school year, if that makes sense.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
My question is for Jeff or Kathy, so what's the purpose of, in the column, and it's on many lines, but the 2018-19 voted, it's got a dollar placeholder. What's the purpose of holding it for a dollar?
Those are historic, and our previous business administrator, there had been some question if and whether a line was funded at the time the budget was approved. Could you then transfer funds into it if those funds were needed in that particular account? So
So the dollar kept it active.
the dollar kept it active. And
Got it.
I believe since then that's been proven not to be so much of a concern. They linger
All right.
and linger.
Not a budget breaker.
So if we broke those, we'd probably get this budget down to like $14. Just saying.
So you feel with this budget, you're well covered with
Yep.
supplies, staff, everything?
I'm very thrifty.
Questions.
Go.
I just had a question on, actually I had two questions. You did address the custodial maintenance supplies. And I was just looking at it historically, and it's up quite a bit more. Are you guys being, do you have to pay for more stuff now?
Well, I need shades for some of my rooms,
Okay.
and they have to be a special shade, because the state or the labor board tells us we have to have a certain shade that's by retardant, so they're a little bit more. I didn't budget for 'em last
Okay,
year,
so that's in with
Yeah.
that, okay, I'm sitting.
I had the old, the ones you have from Home Depot.
Right.
Or Lowe's, and they maybe were $20-25, but these are in the hundreds.
Right, okay. And then just one other question on, in the library section, there's,
Excuse me, Julie, can you just give the account number for the other?
sure, it's in the 100-2222-640.37.02.1. It's on,
Page 5.
Julie, can you tell me that one again?
yeah, it starts on page 4, actually. It's 640.3702.1.
Okay, library books.
Yep.
Yep.
I just had a question that, that seems to be a pretty level amount each year, but I did notice that then below that, the information access fees have gone up quite a bit.
Yep, I will tell you that the district pays for some access that everybody uses. Our teachers like Scholastic BookFlix, they use it all the time. Enchanted Learning, kindergarten through second grade use. And then this year, they wanted Culturegrams, which is a database that supports geography and history information, so the children can go on that. And that is expensive. It's
Okay.
$500.
So these things are,
Over and
in
above what the
addition,
district, everybody in the
provides.
elementary school had, right.
okay, and it's not, I didn't know if it was more, books on tape or CDs,
No,
if that
it's
would be
more
replacing
database,
the,
where they can, the teachers can access them right from the classroom, the children can access them from their computers.
okay,
So if there's a particular book or a subject area that they're interested in, they can go in and find that particular book, and at home too,
right,
so they can access from home, so.
okay, okay, good. That was all I had, and I don't know at what point, I just had a general question as far as across the elementary schools. I see a difference in amounts for like library book amounts and information access fees. Should that be more standardized, that each school gets so much, and, how does that, who would determine that? Is that just done by school? I mean, if you've got 4 elementary schools, they each have a library, they should each have the same amount of money given each year for books, I would think. Like, why would one get more than another? And
Anybody
you
have an
guys
answer?
don't have more than another, but I'm just.
No, I know we don't.
I'm just curious as to, difference, why it wouldn't be the same.
So you're comparing this from the budgets from each school?
Yeah,
I can only speak for Atkinson, but I mean, I don't, and I have no idea what yours is, Nancy, but, you know, I mean, we probably started out with a lot more books than some of the other schools. You know,
Okay.
think of when Sandown Central and Sandown North separated, they separated some of the books at that point too. So they probably need, if theirs is up, they probably need to build up their library a little bit more than we would. We also have each of the classrooms have fairly, large libraries too, so looking at that too.
And then that's dependent on the size of the school.
Exactly, the size of the school also, so,
okay.
I don't know, because I can't,
No, I
but-
wasn't really directing that at you.
No, I know.
It was just kind of a general observation.
And I'll add to that, that certain schools may have certain resources that they utilize under info access, the 643 object code, that may happen to work for their school or their program.
right, I did
Okay.
quiz all my teachers to ask them if they really use it. You know, you really want this, and this, to see if I should cut it or keep it, knowing that they also had, the district websites, that they could, access, so this was one of the things. And like I said, the only new one is the Culturegrams, and they really, they've liked that, so. And some of the teachers have bought it themselves, like band together and bought it, so this would be a school, license to use this, so.
Okay. That's all.
Everybody else have questions?
I'm good.
Good on this side? John?
So you had just mentioned staff-wise, so staffing isn't really funding isn't part of this budget.
Well, we don't control anything
No.
to do
No,
with that.
so I just wanted to make sure, because you say you're good with staff, but we're not talking
I'm
about
not
staffing.
asking for any staff this year.
Right.
Yeah, and so
No,
I was just
last
trying to
year
get
I
an
did,
overall
so-
sense
Okay,
of, you know, how's the heartbeat at the school going? And
yeah. I know Kathy had asked for, in the past, an all-encompassing for each facility, what the cost is, which included salary and stuff, and I just wanted to just say we're only discussing.
we're only discussing the stuff that we can really have any
Right.
control over.
Yep.
And I'm gonna just get the sense of the board, because we're gonna be getting reports like this from every single school going down the road. And so I think it would be in our best interest. We don't need to see the stuff that we can't control. I mean, we can ask questions like, you know, how do you feel about, you know, what's going on in the school? Do you have enough supplies? Do you have enough staff? But we really can't do anything with these contractual things.
Right. Which is why we get this format and this.
Exactly.
This is the content of the budget.
Is everybody good with that? Makes our reports a little bit easier to read, too. All right.
Okay.
You're under budget and you're under time. 2 for 2.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, Lorraine.
So up next, we've got Nancy Stafford. And you've got the remaining of her time plus your whole allotted time.
And you must use it all.
She's down 96.
Yeah. A little competition going on. Hi, everyone,
Hello.
for having me tonight. I just wanted to briefly go over the summary that you have, and my budget as well is level funded, down $96. It does, in Sandown, continue to be a challenge in terms of anticipating and predicting the student enrollment. There continues to be building and new families moving in. Last year, we did anticipate that we would need an additional first grade classroom, but that actually didn't come to fruition just based on what we ended up having for our current enrollment. Kathy, some of the things that I had down, Kathy has already mentioned in terms of the math that we're all needing to budget for this year. That extended contract expires for this year. So in terms of my budget, we have a couple of increases. The curriculum, the need to budget for the math materials. And then in terms of our general elementary supplies, that's 2410, 610, 25. We do have some additional costs that before had been covered through the district, I believe, and this year each building is covering them. The Shred-it is the company that we use to shred our papers. And the other is that we did need to budget for some volunteers. There's a new RSA that volunteers all need to have a background screening, and there is a fee for that. And Dr. Metzler is wanting the district, and I strongly support this as well, to support that. We want our schools, we want to be partners, we want to welcome people in. So to say, want to volunteer, pay, excuse me?
We want to welcome the right people in.
Right. So we did need to budget for that. So in terms of the decreases, the principal's office, there had been some new replacement equipment that had been needed in the past, and I'm good with that right now. There isn't anything really pressing that we need at this time, so that was an area that we were able to decrease. That's account 2410 737 25. And then the other decrease was 1100 733 25 new equipment. And that was really because in the prior year, we had budgeted for an additional classroom, which was not needed. So I was able to decrease in that area as well.
Okay. Questions? Hard to come up with questions when you're leveling down, but go ahead, Phil.
At the risk of sounding defensive, what constitutes a volunteer? And like what type of volunteers do you get in there that you would want to do a background check on?
So there's a new RSA that it was through the state, correct? That the state of New Hampshire stating that anyone who's coming in and working with children or going to be alone with children, there's certain criteria that they need to be background checked.
Not field trips, chaperones?
It would be
Really?
field trips.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No field trips? Okay.
That, I mean, it's RSA, there's nothing you can do about it, but that's
Right.
potentially, I mean, it's in the child's interest, but it seems like a
Right.
burden to recruit chaperones.
Yeah.
'cause-
How long does it take to do a background check? Is it 2 weeks? So planning a field trip's a big deal now, big ordeal.
4 weeks for you, Alan.
Fingerprinted, probably.
Mine's gonna be a
That's
big
the
one.
finger-
so.
fingerprinting. That
I
I
get
believe
fingerprinted
that.
every year anyway, so we can expedite that.
So you can come on the field.
I'm all set
Right,
to go.
we'll be recruiting
We don't
you.
have to pay for you.
That's right, well, I can just give you my report.
First you gotta know why they're printing them every year.
It's a really good point. No, it's required for the licensing.
Do you know what the cost is per person?
I believe it's $22.50.
Okay. I just want to make sure with the number of volunteers you have that
Right.
this is funded, because you have that line in there as well.
Right.
So,
Didn't we also expedite some, I mean, we picked up some new equipment to help expedite this
Yes.
process?
And that's why it's probably cheaper,
Yeah.
too.
We're gonna try to get the majority of volunteers, of our more regular volunteers through this year.
This year.
So what the schools are budgeting for would be new volunteers, those that hadn't volunteered within, 1 year's time. Those would be the only volunteers that would need to be fingerprinted again, is if they hadn't volunteered within a calendar year. I believe that's what our school district policy is specifying, so.
And then
they will-
obviously any new families and,
Exactly, yeah.
It's crazy.
I volunteer
The
a
old days,
lot.
we used to show up to school and get on the bus. Not anymore.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions for Nancy? Oh, Julie?
I just had a question, similar to what I had asked Kathy as well, regarding on the library books. That was an increase.
Can you tell us where you are?
Yep, hang on.
page 5.
It's 640.37.12. And that was, is a bit higher than it was before. I just didn't
Yeah,
know if you were still ramping up your library there.
Yeah.
Like Kathy was saying.
We are, and, our librarian is fantastic. She does a lot around scholastic books, which she's then able to get some books through that. But in addition, she really is, every month, I feel like it's even more than that. She does a whole thing in the library with themes, and she's always looking to add books to the library, and we really have, the library is really a hub for our building, and so that was one area that I really didn't want to have to go down in. I did go down in one area around the AV equipment. I did decrease that somewhat, the audiovisual. And then in terms of the information access fees, one, I didn't change that at all. And I might have this wrong, but one thing I'm wondering is there's something else now in terms of the different websites that can be accessed. They all, as Kathy mentioned, the teachers use them a lot. It's just the kids get a lot out of it. There are a lot of wonderful websites out there. They all need to be vetted. They all need to be obviously educationally appropriate. And I don't know, but I'm wondering if, we might see an increase because what our teachers are finding, and I think what the tech people are finding, is when they're vetting these websites, there's a lot of free ones out there that now we can't use. But if you pay for that website for that next level, all of a sudden it's, you can use it. The no ads, yeah. So I didn't make any change in this, and I'm hoping that, that will be enough because they do get used a lot, as you can imagine.
Well, yeah, I would think so. And it is lower. And then my other question was, under the operating building services, that is function 2620.
What page?
Page 8.
Yeah, the page helps us get there faster.
Sorry. Page 8, 2620.610.01.12.1.
Yep, the maintenance supplies.
Yes.
So with that one, again, it's we do have the newest elementary school, but it is, it was built in 2001, and there is starting to be some wear and tear, and I'm a little bit hesitant to cut back too much because sometimes you don't know when our, for instance, I know this year there was a lot of painting that needed to be done, and our custodian used that, this budget to purchase those things. Any big things would come out of facilities.
Right.
But we're fortunate with our custodian. He's very handy and good at doing a lot of things within the building without having to reach out. And so I think it's a little easier from that standpoint, just to get things done that he's able to do. Even things like out on the playground, a new Foursquare, painting a new Foursquare thing and hopscotch and all those kind of little things, patching up some walls.
Repairing
Okay.
a door.
It's just,
Yep, yep.
it's double what it was. Last year you spent $709. The year before it was $711.
Yep.
And the year before it was $1,241. This is $2,650. It's just a jump. I didn't know if there was something specific that you
Yeah.
were, kind of had in mind.
Yeah, there have been some door handles just recently. we were looking at some things, and actually, I'm on the list this year for the DOE to come through and do their security, and some of the door latches that I know when the custodian had said in the cafeteria, it's something that he's able to then just order and fix himself, those kinds of
Okay.
things, so.
All righty, thank you.
Well, because it's interesting, it's $10 higher, so there must be a plan for it, right? That you've gone out and said, we need all of this.
Right.
So there is a plan on what you
Yep.
want to do, whether you get
And-
all of it done.
Right,
It's
right,
gonna be,
yep.
Bill, you had?
Yeah, thank you, good job. I wanted to ask you a bit of a hypothetical, and just to lay the groundwork here, like, there seems to be general consensus around trying to come to a flat-funded budget, and that's what you are asked to come forward with. But I want to ask the following question, just because it can help gauge sort of where your values are, where you see future needs maybe being, and maybe plans to seed for future asks. If you were told that you could budget for a 5% increase, where's the first place you'd go? I'm not trying to put you on the spot and say this should be funded, because we all understand you can't always fund everything that you want to
Right.
fund. And there's consensus around a flat-funded budget, not trying to put anyone on the spot. But I'm just curious, if you had an extra $5,000, and I'm not advocating for that, to be clear, what's the first thing that would,
Well, one of the
Come to mind.
things I would love to do is do more around flexible seating classrooms. We're doing a lot around, all the schools are, there's, in regards to social emotional learning and self-regulation. And it's really important to make sure kids are ready emotionally. Full disclosure, I was a school counselor for, I still consider myself one, before going into administration. And I see the need for, and there's so much research out there that when students are ready emotionally to learn, they do much better academically. And there's a lot out there now around classrooms with flexible seating. You asked me just for my.
yes.
So just to add on
So-
to that, we actually saw that at the middle school at the facility
With
tour.
Mike Flynn.
Yep, and they have one classroom that's
do
super
they?
cool. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it has
What
like
is flexible seating? Well, not to.
Right, right.
there's like a crazy wicker chair, and they have like high like at the middle school. So
High
and it's for
seats,
eighth
low
grade.
seats.
Slow.
They have high table seats, and one of the examples Mr. Flynn gave was, he's got a kid that's 6'2", and that doesn't fit really great in the regular
Take advantage
seats,
of
but
the higher seats. Sure.
yeah, and so the thought behind the research is that you learn better if you're more comfortable, and
Right.
feel,
The other part they had,
You don't feel
Alan,
awkward sitting
was
down.
it wasn't your traditional shaped seat. You could
Right.
rearrange them and make,
they were like shaped like commas.
yeah, you can make them into a circle.
Oh, okay.
And so you can have a group of 8, a group of 4. It was,
And it
was
really
flexible.
lends itself to the type of learning that's going on in schools now.
Well, I'm
It's
glad-
not that they're just lined up
Glad
in
to hear you
desks.
say this almost like as a number one to Phil's question, because I've now been hearing from Mike Flynn at the middle school 2 years in a row about the furniture. But my concern was always, is it contiguous through all of our schools? So the kids don't get used to it in middle school, they get to high school and it's not there.
Right.
So you're saying elementary, and he's got the middle school, and hopefully if it's a learning, it'll help learning. It's got to be everywhere.
And we do a lot now, just in terms of, we have tea stools for some of the kids, and, which I personally would not do well on, but. The balls that the kids sit on. I mean, it is pretty amazing, but, yep.
Okay. Anybody else?
Thank
Wow.
you.
Well, thank you. Thank you both.
yes, thank you.
So I'm just going to summarize for the people at home. We heard from Atkinson Academy, which is Kathy Deotis, and her budget is, I'm going to call it level funded. It's actually down $17. And then Nancy Stafford over at Sandown North, level funded. Basically, it's down 96. Thank you both for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And the third on our list is Sandown Central, but as I informed you all, we're not getting Sandown Central tonight we have, we've got a small delay.
Well, they heard if they were getting questioned a lot, if they came in too cheap.
But I will ask you guys while you're here, so when I found out we couldn't have Sandown Central, Jeff had brought up to my attention, hey, we can move another school that was going to be presented on the 25th and move it up, and I paused and said no, because I was concerned if I can get ample time for you guys to get the information. But, so now we're two behind. We're behind in the pack. We are behind at Sandown Central, so I'd like to take, so we're obviously not discussing Sandown Central's budget, but I'd like to, if you all have a copy of your schedule, do you have that with you?
I do.
I just want to figure out where we're going to place it.
I have copies.
You can give a copy to the people who might not have one. Who doesn't have one? We have one.
I do somewhere. Do you have a copy?
You guys,
Do you have a copy?
someone down, Peter?
Yeah, it's in my book. I have it.
Alan, you need one, or?
No, I've got one.
You want to look at this too?
Sure, why not? I just, sure.
You can share.
Don't share, just got a bunch. There's another one.
No,
Yeah, I brought
it's-
plenty.
It's all right.
So,
Someone over?
he's got it. I gave it to him right there. So,
Alan needs one.
Sure, I got it, but if I can just get one, it's easy.
Brian, pass that one down, please. All right, so
He's getting fingerprinted.
So if you look under October 11th, we need to find another home for Sandown Central.
Well, based on these presentations, if they're all gonna be like this, we're looking like a 15-minute thing.
They should be. They really should be, because they're level funded.
Right.
So when we made this agenda and we allocated 30 minutes, we didn't know exactly they're going to be level
Well, we
funded.
expected, yes, exactly, not to get.
But Alan, to your point, I think we could squeeze Sandown Central on another night like the 25th
Yeah.
and maybe get 4 presenters.
Sure.
We still have the school board. Is that gonna come back to us at some point?
Yes, as
Yep.
Brian mentioned, but
Yeah.
that's even smaller than
Just
these.
the,
Yeah,
the question was just mainly about the legal line, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep, yeah. So that's gonna be a presentation. That's still listed on the 27th on this one here.
Correct. So, Jeff, do you think we could get Sandown Central on the 25th?
Yes.
How's everybody feel about that? You're gonna be here anyways.
That's fine.
Looking forward to it.
We did have that earmarked for transportation as well that night.
Paul, with and transportation. So the 25th, middle school, Danville, Pollard,
Transportation
and
and
transportation.
Sandown.
If they're coming in level, which was the directive that you saw in the correspondence folder from Dr. Metzler, his message, and you heard it from Brian, from the school board, I think they should go pretty smoothly.
Okay.
So Jeff, how soon are we gonna have those budgets available? When they're ready, can they be posted for us to look at even?
Yes.
Okay. Because I know this week was a little short, but going forward, we should have them ahead of time. So if anybody has their budget, even if they're not done, like into November, if they have their budget ready, that can be given to us
Yep.
to look at ahead of time.
Yeah, no
That gives us more time to prepare,
All right.
so we can look at them.
That's a great point. If any of the presenters from the month of November, if they have their budgets ready now, if you can put them on SharePoint and just drop me a note for the people who don't have the alerts, that way, so they'd be placed in the,
In the appropriate meeting, and I've also.
exactly.
I've also captioned that meeting with,
That was going to be
Who's
on
on
the
the schedule?
25th.
Right.
in the description.
Question?
And
So
then the
Jeff,
pack was going on
so-
October 8th.
when you're working with, Kathy DeOtis, whoever developed a budget, you guys come up with something, does it go to SLT? I mean, what's the process? So you just bring it directly here?
Maybe with the superintendent
Okay,
as well.
okay. Okay, so you're not like gated by the Tuesday SLT meetings in order to get things up?
No. No, no, this, getting into the budget process, getting into the budget cycle, this past round, we did have some direction from the school board, which was great. And I think we were meeting on Tuesday anyway, so it was a bit tight. Going forward, I don't think it will be, but I'd mentioned that, at the last meeting, so, but I don't really think that there's, as they become available, I don't mind posting them.
Great.
What I don't want to do though is I don't want to get caught up into a endless cycle of, this was posted, there was a change, some
No.
ringer
That just get confused.
brought out of hell that, is completely unnecessary in trying to post early, so I know that I have board's appreciation of that, I'm sure, up front. When we look at the meeting, as it's posted, so if I'm able to post one for a month out now, let's just say I have one that's ready for a month out now, and it changes, it would be whatever's most recently posted, for the meeting contemporaneous with that agenda and all that. So, but I have no issue posting to the extent that they're ready.
Well, just like Atkinson, we had it earlier this week, and there was a change, there was an update to that Atkinson one.
That's right.
It would just be an update that we would,
Yeah.
You know.
Well, when we're a month out, though, I mean, am I gonna,
yeah, but at least we have an idea, especially with level funding.
it's unlikely to change so dramatically.
Right.
But if we just keep pushing to get the stuff so we have it, I'd even go so far as if we can get it, so we have the weekend to look at it. I mean, that's.
No. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Period.
Right.
But as things are ready, they'll be posted. So that's the goal.
And you have the budgets out there in Excel spreadsheet also for the members. So. All right, so we're going to move Sandown Central to the 25th, and then we also have to find a home for the school board. And I'm not too worried about that one, but you want to put that on November 8th? That's a light one.
No objection.
All right.
I mean, that's going to be dependent on the school board,
Right.
giving their
It's a
final
target.
vet.
It's a target is all it is, and I'm not too worried about it because it should go very simple. So that's the adjustment there.
And then we have CIP at some point that might,
I think David said he was gonna do that at the next meeting, right?
okay.
25th?
David is going to. It's all based on, I guess, if they can.
I think Sue's gonna do that.
Yeah, I thought
Sue was gonna do that.
Sue was gonna do it. So she would be a presenter.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought David said something in his letter about
He did, but
priority.
I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty sure it'll be Sue coming in.
Okay.
Okay. We have review of revenue and expenditures. Let me just put this stuff away. So this is for the month of September. So Jeff, do you just want to walk through this quickly? And we haven't done one for about a month now.
First page in your report is revenue. You'll see that revenue, as a refresher, shows up as a credit. Because we haven't looked at these in a while, I'll refresh your memory on it, that the range date column is just the month, which is the from and the to date that you see in the upper right-hand corner. The next column is year to date. So you can see what the monthly activity was and then how that rolls into year to date. On the next page, we get into the expenditures, and that's a little bit more robust and usable in terms of what is, where the budget is, what we spent for the month, what we spent for the year, and what our budget balance is, what's encumbered, et cetera, et cetera. So spending seems to be on track. I think we're still waiting for a number of bills to come in, and we haven't received a bill, but funds are encumbered. You'll see them in that, and non-encumbered from last year, just encumbered in the current year. You'll see that in the right-hand column, captured encumbrance. So nothing dramatically exciting, or not exciting, not exciting.
So the way we're gonna do these review of revenue and expenditures is, if you have, you can review them on, I'll just say your own time. We're not gonna go through line by line here of this document. If you have questions, this is where you bring them up. Any of our meetings, if you've got these questions, bring them up. So if you didn't get a chance to take a crack at this, we can do them at our next meeting also.
Can I ask a question then?
Go for it.
On the encumbrances, Jeff,
Are you switching documents now, or?
I'm so, well, this is, it'd be part of this, though. It just so happens that,
Okay,
That's all, I've just had a question or comment. It's the big, what is the sites, close to 60,000? It must be maintenance bunch.
Right.
What is that?
Which page?
No, we're all looking at this,
The cheat sheet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I'm just saying that,
this document.
I know it's under encumbrances, so I went right to the big one.
60,000.
Strange you could do that.
Brian, are you looking at this sheet?
I was looking at that sheet,
the
but
bottom one,
it's
the
in, but it's
59,000.
in this.
Yeah, okay.
It's in your encumbrances, so I was just, so
Okay.
when you said,
So
ask, this is a good time to ask, I said, okay. So in other words, your encumbrances it should be in your 42 or 4,300 line someplace.
Correct, yeah, which is on page 8.
Yep.
And that encompasses the site work for our Pleasant sewer septic project at the high school, and
Okay.
middle school, at the main campus.
Okay. Thank you.
Bill?
I had a pun, but I'm keeping it to myself.
You can appreciate how difficult it was for me.
Yes.
I'll have to watch the video because it went right over my head. All right, that would be review revenue and expenditures. Other business.
Could I just?
Oh, go ahead.
When do we expect to see this available every month?
Around now, around the first week,
The first,
end
okay.
of the first week of the month, yeah.
I know this one's dated yesterday, so if we're gonna review it, that gives us a day
Yeah.
to review it. So I wanna make sure that we have, there's a lot there, so.
So this is my generic one. The sooner, the better for anything that we have to review before a meeting.
Of course.
Exactly. Other business, I just wanted to ask, Jeff had mentioned, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the enrollment reports typically come out, I'll say around the middle of October-ish timeframe.
Early
So
October.
we're expected to get that semi-soon. I know that was asked. Future agenda and dates. So our next one is scheduled for the 25th. We just announced, so we'll do the middle school, Danville Elementary, Pollard School, Transportation, and Sandown Central. That's pretty much it. This was a pretty simple evening.
It was a good football game on to rush home to, right?
Or golf, Alan.
Oh, for golf on.
The golf is winding down.
It is a good football game. Who cares about those
Who's
guys?
playing tonight?
All right.
Eagles and Browns.
Does anybody have any other questions?
See, you like it.
Let's focus here.
Yes, you-
Everybody good? All right. In that case, we're gonna find everybody back here. Oh, so we'll find you if you can, Monday. Who thinks they might be able to go Monday to the facility tour?
I should be there. I missed last week. I just had a client that couldn't print something.
Yeah.
Go back to the office, print the next appointment.
Yeah, I'll be honest with these facility tours, 90% of the time, they were showing us the work that they have completed. And they're not showing us a lot about big wish list because they're pretty,
Flatline.
they're flat-lined.
I'd like to say, though, that, I mean, that's the first time I'd been on one. I know some of you have been on them before, but I was just incredibly impressed with what they're doing with what they have. Like, the cleanliness of the buildings was second to none. I mean, I have two kids that went through that middle school, and, you know, my middle daughter's a sophomore in high school, so it's been a couple years, and it didn't even look the same. I mean, it was spotless. It was the improvements all around the board. Was just, I was like a different school that I walked into.
So I'm gonna have to agree with Todd. With our maintenance staff, Rodney and everybody that works, under Rodney, kudos to you folks. You guys are doing a fantastic job. And it really, really shows.
Yeah.
Makes you proud to have your kid there.
And I think, do you know what the staffing, is custodial understaffed right now? Are they replacing?
They're a little tight.
They're a little tight, yeah, because there's been some last minute retirement type of stuff.
Very.
So, I mean, they're doing it with a tight crew as well.
I mean, I didn't even know you could take regular bleachers and put a motor on them and just make them move back and forth. I told my girls that they did that, and they were mad that the bleachers can now move back and forth because it used to be the kids had to sit on the ground when they got to school. So
It's been a priority for the district to
Rise.
to undertake projects, undertake them well, efficiently, and been a big priority for the district to enhance learning environments for our students. Thank you for recognizing that. Our staff is exceptionally dedicated. We are aiming to operate in an efficient way by getting projects that make sense, done well, done right once. And I think we're well on our way over the past year, 2 years in doing that. And in some of the odd projects that you see coming up for 30,000 here or 30,000 there in years past, you see the implications of that when you go and you look at how we're trying to utilize the middle school, for example, and make current learning environments that are relevant. And you see that every now and again if we can reconfigure or we have a better, option for space. Over time, that really we've done very well with that. So thank you for recognizing that. And our staff I'll convey that to them. They've done an excellent job.
Okay, that concludes our business. Motion to adjourn.
Good job to you, Mike. I like these.
So, motion by Phil, and a second by Alan. All those in favor? You got unanimous. Thank you.